Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. So tell me, the community forest is actually doing some work, and council's very excited about this.
Yeah.
Where are you guys logging now?
We've got about 7 blocks or so on the go. The bulk of it is out towards the airport, and then we've got a few blocks in the lower Westridge area.
Right.
We've got a couple small operations on the hillside, basically to the east of town.
The question that's been asked is, you know, the economy's in such a downturn, why log now?
Yeah, a good question. 2 answers to that, I guess. Initially, you know, the community forest has expenses, and up until this fall hadn't logged a stick of wood. And that's where the revenue is generated from. So to keep the company alive, there has to be some harvesting. We finally had a little bit of a pine market open up. And the pine right now is just in that transition phase where it's all, the mountain pine beetle attack is exploding through it all. And we've seen the pattern throughout the province where as soon as it hits that kind of turning point, then we've got a very short window to try to utilize it. Pine makes up 30% of our community forest.
My concern is really twofold. One is that as a member of the community, it's nice to see that the wood, you know, used in a wise way. And also this other concern that of rushing to log where there's these environmental concerns is how has the community forest held those up, you know, and decided, okay, you know, profits versus whatever, or, you know, timeliness versus lots of consultation and taking time.
There's another factor involved, which is wildfire threat. The forest minister has been directly directing communities, more or less, to deal with wildfire. So there's pressure on the village of Valemount to do something about the pine stands around the community. The wildfire threat is these areas that are right next to the village of Valemount.
The work that's been done at the airport, it's a big clear cut. But fortunately, it's not right in our face. Is there a concern going forward about visuals, even in spite of this, you know?
Yeah, balanced with the forest health concerns and the wildfire threat. So, you know, those are visual areas along the highway. We try to, some things that we try to do are leave little patches, you know, in strategic areas if we can, to block some of the view. The other forest health concern here, and it's been a long-standing one, is mistletoe infection in the pine stands. So a lot of the pine stands we're logging right now are stunted and have been poor growing stands. From a forest health perspective and a timber perspective, direction is clear cut, clear cut, clear cut. You have to balance that with the other values, visuals, just general impact on recreation and things like that. We deal with it on a site-specific basis, basically. If we feel a certain block has more of the non-timber, non-forest health values that need to be addressed at a higher level. And I'm talking not specifically for, you know, one party, for example, but, you know, the community forest has to look at it, the village as a whole, what is the greatest good for the village. And
ultimately, people are going to have concerns, you know, at some point. Who do they voice their concerns to, and how is that dealt with?
In everything the community forest does, it's the 9-person board that talks it over and makes decisions based on that. So concerns come to me normally, and I bring that to the board.
Are recreation areas going to be affected with the logging on 5 Mile?
So we're certainly not looking at putting a clear cut, for example, on 5 Mile Road.
Okay.
Which I know was, I've heard that concern voiced, and we're not going there with it. And
okay.
So, you know, that's an example of an area where there's a lot of multi-use. There's also a lot of different stand structure that allows us to do more things rather than just a big block of pine that's going to completely die, you know. You know, we're a new company, we're just starting up. There's going to be some growing pains both within our company and within the community, and we just have to feel it out and figure out how we're going to work together, for sure.
Why is it only people from Quesnel who are working in the community forest?
I think you got the wrong community forest there. No, I mean, there's a few trucks maybe hauling. I don't know for sure. There's certainly some Prince George trucks involved. Probably a few Quesnel trucks, but I don't know of any Quesnel people.
Okay.
As contractors, we definitely, our mandate is to provide local employment. Local includes McBride in the way our parameters are wrote up. It's actually Albreda to Crescent Spur. So we try to make sure everybody is working in that area.
What's your hope for the community forest?
The flexibility is built in to the license that allows you to think outside the box. It allows you to go different directions. Community forest has been given a benefit of a lower stumpage rate, so it can invest in some of these other directions. The trouble is you can't just dive into that. The company has to function, so we need to generate some profit, get ourselves stable, then we can start being on solid enough ground to use our vision, use our imagination, use input from the community, First Nations groups, things like that, and just try to see what directions we can form here. You got to walk before you run, kind of thing.
Shane, thanks so much for coming in, and I hope we get lots of opportunity to talk in the future as the community forest.